Yes, I'd like to say it is an honor and sincerely a great privilege to be presenting the formula for the formula to the Center for Community Alternatives. I want to personally thank Ms. Calderon for taking the opportunity to really look at the information that I sent you, and I think I've created this specifically for this demographic. As even though it is a STEM initiative, and I'm really excited to tell you folks about what we can accomplish with this. I want to also just speak to my own personal background, that although I try to present myself as someone who is emotionally intelligent and is well educated from a decent institution. I mean, on paper it could be seen as a good story to tell. The truth is, I was a very at-risk youth. I was voted most likely to go to jail when I was in high school. Even though I tried to go for most popular. I'm known as the guy who you don't invite to a party because he's going to start a fight. So most of my friends who are gone on to become very successful are stunned by the fact that Bintel of all people is attempting to do something like this, because it's just so far away from where I've come. So these are my tools. These are the tools that I came up with to accomplish this feat of creating this disruptive innovation in a unicorn company, the top of the technological food chain throughout the world. I'm an engineer and a salesperson, and as in the same way that Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion, invented the wrench, which caused so much of a stir. They called it the monkey wrench because they were just so upset that a black man had invented this. Jack Johnson invented it while he was in jail. He was the first black heavyweight champion, a whole lot of laws, polarizing creature. The inspiration for Muhammad Ali and his toughness came from Jack Johnson. I created these tools, so hopefully if this is successful, these will be my instruments. I will only hope they're as impactful as the wrench that Jack Johnson created. To the upper left-hand, and incidentally, all forms of engineering and technology have basically 4 different hemispheres. When you put them all together at this level, they have 4 different hemispheres. One is unit of measure, where we're measuring things like milliliters and ohms and watts and voltage. That's all of these are engineering phenomena, and you measure them. They're called units of measure. Then they have some math right in the middle. So all science and engineering have their own specific maths. They all have modeling, all of them, and they all have logic. And depending on how you're able to mix these things and put them together, you can create something like Uber and Amazon or Netflix or Tesla. But when you're in school, they don't tell you that. They just test you on them individually. Unless you're at the Ivy League, they tell you how to use them together. But if you're not at the Ivy League, as I was not, then they're just going to test you on them individually and get you to fail. And most important, these tools are interchangeable in different disciplines like psychology and business administration. Same formula, same shape, just different numbers. And I learned this in education when I started talking to some of the doctors that I was selling my program to, and they would say, yeah, we studied the if-then logic statement in college in a master's program, right? And I would be like, isn't that interesting? Because logic is what you use to invent stuff. So if you're studying the logic statements in psychology, that means that the application of a logic statement in a psychological sense is to be able to reinvent yourself. It's the only thing it could ever mean. So I'm just trying to show you that these tools are transferable in any industry, in any discipline, in any walk of life. They are literally, I would think they're the hemispheres of academia. But basically, we're going to look at, for your demographic, just one of them. I'm going to show you how we use just one of them to reinvent their value system to themselves. And this is going to be pretty cool. This usually stops them in their tracks. When I show them, the kids, this, like especially the ones that have just gotten out of jail and they're trying to make sure they don't recidivate. When I show them this, they sit there and look at me with puppy dog eyes, like, oh my God, because it just shakes up everything about who they are and why they went to jail. This is what we're about to look at right now. So my first book was about colorism. It was called Betrayed. It was my 5 minutes of fame, and I wrote it about 15 years ago because I'm dark-skinned and from Jamaica, and Caribbean people have a very strong, light-skinned, dark-skinned complex. It was installed in us by Willie Lynch, a slave consultant brought to America. It's the cousin of racism, and it's internal in the black community. It's something between light and dark skin. So basically, my value in myself, which I learned from the media, was that the only value I could provide society was when I was being disruptive or when I was being violent. Right, so I always wanted to pass myself off as that guy who would set it off, who would fight, and it worked. It was such a big part of my value, and it worked so well for me that it got me girls. Like whenever I was in college and I didn't have a girlfriend for a little bit, I would just start a fight at a party. My best friend was murdered at a party at MIT because of this same sort of thing. So I was always, because I wasn't good looking, I felt, or I wasn't smart. The only thing when puberty kicked in for me was that I could fight, and girls saw that, because in the ghetto, you're supposed to take what you want, right? So you take value, and you don't, we don't know how to make it. We don't think. So you ever notice in the hood, we always say, they got a new, like, who is they, right? So in the black community, little girls will gas you up and be like, and if you fight, they'll be like, you crazy. And if a black girl tell you stupid or you crazy, that means she like you. So you endeavor to act even more stupid, right? So this is what I learned as a salesman when I finally graduated somehow and was working as a sales engineer, because I was just all about money. This is what they teach salespeople, that if you want people to give you their money, you've got to show them, or you've got to come up with a product or prove to them that you or your product, or a combination of the both of you, can cure their pain. That's the human condition. This is actually the entire world economy in 4 images. And in the corporate world, in the finance world, they call them pain points. Miss Caldron might know about this because she worked in the financial industry, and that's all they talk about, pain, right? When you watch the Bloomberg channel, they're talking about pain. When they talk about value, anytime you hear the word value, it is representative of these 4 images, and there's only 4 of them. All the products in the world, including you, your value and how much money you can get for these products is dependent on the amount, the unit of measure of value, of pain relief that your product provides them. The upper left-hand corner is emotional pain, and that's the worst one. People spend money quick when they're in emotional pain, and if your product can cure their emotional pain, they're going to buy it without even thinking. They lose their sense of reason. Physical pain, right? Which fighting puts you in physical pain, right? Who wants to be punched in the face, right? Fighting, right? So physical pain. So if you can protect the world from physical pain, like a doctor with Novocaine, or what do you call it? A Band-Aid, or a shot, of adrenaline or something. These are all in the realm of physical pain, and the people that can protect you from these things make lots of money. Then the 2 at the bottom are called efficiency. They're called time and energy. This is where the technology and engineers usually reside. They do things, they create products that help the world do things in less time, with less energy. Like this presentation that I'm creating here. I don't have to come and see you and meet with you. You can just watch this and you know exactly what my product can do for you. Saves me the time and energy of traveling, right? It's valuable. That's how you quantify or put a number on the value of a product. Every product on earth cures at least one, or some cure all 4 of these pains at the same time, and they call them pain points, right? In the corporate world and in the entire world economy, stocks, bingo, bangos, publicly traded, all that stuff, salespeople making more money than all other professionals combined, engineers creating the product, salespeople selling it, all of that is around something called pain point and value. This is what value is. Everybody says you have to add value to society. No one knows what it is academically but you do now. And they teach salespeople how to get people to give them money for products using this. Although you think you're going to the store, and you think you're going to the gym, and you think you're getting a piece of toast, what you're really doing from the time you're born until the time we die is trying to protect yourself from these 4 things. That's it. This is what money is per unit time. Sales, this is an engineer's way of looking at money. The relevance to your students is that in the hood, in the ghetto, whatever, we believe that our value is in our ability to inflict pain on each other. That's how your kids get in the situation that they're in. They're too busy trying to inflict pain on each other, thinking that that's going to make them valuable to each other in that environment, to even look up to say, wait a minute, the people who are really getting rich, they're doing the exact opposite. They're trying to cure pain for the world. In the ghetto, on a very local environment or mentality, this is the mentality, because little girls know, if I can get Shug and Bebe to beat you up and take your shit and rob you and jack you, then he can go hawk it and sell it and bring me money. So little girls instigate you being a thug. Right? So it's tied up in their sexuality, which is very difficult for you to get them to let go of, unless you tie it to money, something bigger, right? So once you tell these little boys who are doing this daily, this is what you're dealing with, this is what the people in the schools or behavioral issues are all about, is because they've learned since childhood that inflicting pain on each other is not just funny, it makes them popular, it gets them girls. Why would they stop? Why would they ever stop unless you give them something bigger to go after than popularity and money or popularity and girls, right? What's bigger than that? The only thing that's bigger than that is money. So we tell them that everything you think you're doing that's made you whoever you think you are, that is counterproductive to you making money. And once they stop for a second and start thinking about it and they realize it's true, because they're going to stop and start, you see them roll their eyes in their head and they look and they say, oh my God, it's true. And they start to go through different scenarios in their life about with this. They have no choice. You have no choice whether you like me or not. If you want to make money, which we know you do, then you have to stop this behavior unless you're just going to commit suicide. Either you commit suicide, continue to do what you're doing, or you get on this bandwagon, which is what you really want anyway, and what's really going to keep the girls around you for the long term, not just the short term, right? Not just to hit it and bounce, but to actually make her your wife and a fan. All the things you know you want comes from you doing the exact opposite of what everything around you is teaching you to do. And that's how I stop them immediately. Once they hear that and they realize, because I used to do that, this is exactly what I did. I did it. Of course we do it, right? And the person who does it the best is the most popular, 50 Cent. Look at the media. 50 Cent does it. He manipulates the hell out of the black community with this because he talks cute to the rich, wealthy white people, and they give him ideas for his new investments when he wears a suit and he wants to play Sambo for them. But when he's in the hood on radio with whatever radio host he's talking about how he's going to slap Fat Joe and beat up whoever else, he knows this. And he manipulates the black community to stay relevant, and then so he can get his ideas for his real pain-relieving investments from the wealthy white people who see violence as stupid and senseless and counterproductive to making money. So once we show your kids this, over time, if you continue to drill it into their head, and we're going to show them how to make a money machine, I can get them to walk through fire academically for me. If we just keep showing them that, look, the people, just show them, they'll say, oh my God, they'll realize that rap music and MMA and violence and Floyd Mayweather and all the TV commercials are all trying to keep them from realizing that what they're doing that they think is making money, they're really doing the opposite behind your back. Right? And that what we're doing at this point is we're just reinventing their value system to themselves. and it works. It never does not work. It works best on the kids that are the most at risk. Because I can tell you, after being married to a girl whose cousin was murdered by one of the most notorious drug dealers, Fat Cat. I was married to this girl. I don't know who I thought I was, but I was married to her. But what she did tell me, one thing I know she told me, she said, and she used to, just to let you know, this girl used to hold guns for Green Eyed Supreme and for all of these drug dealers, Little D, Big D. People have been murdered. People have lost their life behind this girl in her mouth. Drug dealers. She was a steady drug dealer dater. All right. I remember one time we were driving. She told me, she said, those drug dealers, they don't want to be drug dealers. They don't want to be gangsters. They want to be schoolboys. They just don't know how. So, and another thing I want to point out is that in the hood, in the black community, whatever's hot in the jails is hot in the streets. So if you want to save these children outside of the outside of the jails, save the guys in the jails first. Because I remember my ex-wife, when we were getting divorced, and she filed all these orders of protection against me because it's very easy to sell the courts that I'm some sort of black monster, right? That's an easy sell. And had me arrested a few times. I remember being embarrassed, like getting out of jail, just for a night, staying in jail. Even for me, that was disgusting. And getting out and thinking that I was going to be ashamed, like people were going to be like, "You bum, you were in jail." All of her friends were really sexually attracted to me. It was crazy. It was crazy. That's where we are. So if you want to help the children out of jail, give this to the guys in jail. They'll come out. What you know about the formula, son? What you know about this? They'll come out, and all the kids outside of the jails will do exactly what they say. Now, this is my logic statement that I invented, and it's one of the tools to create the disruptive innovation, which is the scientific thing. I don't want to get too technical, but basically, it's just like the stoplight. If green, go. If red, stop. If yellow, if red, prepare. If red, stop. If yellow, prepare to stop. Right? Same thought process, just like the if-then logic statement that the doctors use, that the doctors in education use to reinvent yourself. What we use this one is to show people, or to show anyone visually, like a picture book, right? We can teach them how the thought process goes with a visual representation of a thought, of an invention, right? Where we can storyboard the mental behavior of an invention. Right, using in the stoplight situation, it was whether the color is going to allow you to go, stop, or prepare to stop. This logic statement works off of value. Right, value is the gasoline for this logic statement, and the students can take this like a nursery rhyme and basically sing their way through the thought process of the invention of any product ever made. Which is something that's a very dangerous tool that engineers use. It's called reverse engineering, right? So we're visualizing the thought process of reverse engineering, where the scientist and the engineer, both those two mentalities are working at the same time, where your students, if we're fortunate enough to work with you, would be able to reverse engineer or transcribe, like in music they call it transcribe, Miles Davis's solo. You're going to transcribe the thought process of innovation with pictures, and it's like a nursery rhyme. The kids can sing their way through it almost. So obviously, if we made this as simple as I'm saying it is, we can give this to kids that are in the 2nd grade all the way up through the 12th grade and teach them how to think like an innovator, which I think is... don't mind me. I'm the one who created it. I think it's groundbreaking, and it really puts your students in a position to that's a very dangerous technology to give to the masses of people, because it's going to democratize everything, and now we can create so much competition in products that kids can just innovate on demand, like just basically innovate anything. They can look at anything and tell you how whoever created it. They can go back in history and figure out exactly what they were thinking and why, and what time, and why it came, why they came up with the idea for the product, which is we're making innovation like a fast food restaurant, and this is amazing for your kids who are supposedly at risk, who I found are better than this than anybody else. They're already entrepreneurial minded. So giving this to them is like giving an assassin a scope for a gun. It's really in their hands. Because, and another thing about these kids, not like the private school kids, they're hungry and they have heart. So you give this to them. That's like giving Malcolm X a whole library to read every book and then start lecturing Harvard graduates. That's how I equate this. And now we can use this visual picture to teach the students how to create basically, I heard Elliot Spitzer talking about it, a successful financial transaction. And that's all a company is. A company is just a bunch of successful financial transactions. So we can engineer a financial transaction, and we can turn that transaction, individual or a whole bunch of them, into a corporation. And then I don't want to get into too much, but use the math next door to calculate how fast this money machine spits out money. And that's how engineers look at stuff. So just like this, we can storyboard the evolution of a company. We can pick a company apart, put it back together again like Lego blocks. And because I know believe as a sales engineer, I learned the elements of a successful financial transaction. I basically broke it down in 3 steps. And with those 3 steps, you can also write a business plan. And you can put vocabulary words inside these different parts of this money machine and teach kids how to understand what's going on in the Bloomberg channel. So we are really about engagement. Most black and brown children have no idea that engineers make the most money. The disruptive-minded engineers, that 40% of the world's billionaires and trillionaires are engineers. So our strategy is to draw black and brown children into the field of STEM by not just teaching them how to play with technology or how to calculate it and not know what it is, but how to create it. They say that the creation of technology is academically a far more visceral academic experience than just doing all the math and computation and having no idea why you're doing it. I'm an engineer. I went to Northeastern University and I worked for some of the largest companies like AT&T and Canon USA, and that's the way I was taught. And when I graduated and found out that engineers that go to the Ivy League learn how to create technology, I was infuriated, and that's why I did this. So we are teaching children what technology is from the creation of technology side, and that's the whole notion of mixing entrepreneurship with STEM. So they're creating companies, but they're using engineering tools and principles to do it. And the top of the technological food chain is in 2 terms. One called a disruptive innovation. Uber, Amazon, Netflix, Tesla, these are all disruptors. And then unicorn companies, which are just companies that are doing $1 billion in sales in their first year. We teach students by mixing entrepreneurship with STEM to make both. And they get very excited because we're not telling them that it's engineering. We don't want to scare them away. We are telling them that we're teaching them to make a money machine. And as I'm sure you probably guessed, they get very excited. So that's our strategy. We have an audio book and an ebook. The Kids Write Business. I'm going to get into that later, but just to let you know, the kids are not going to be terrified of this because they think it's engineering. All they care about, when they hear money and machine, they're all in. So we have a very simple pricing structure. We wanted to make sure that we did not price this. We priced this according to school budgets and principal budgets. Quite a few of the principals we speak with are experiencing budget cuts, so we don't want money to get in the way of us being able to demonstrate the appetite that your students may have for this. So we have 3 different packages. The pilot program is $1,500. It is inclusive, or the students would be able to invest in the stock market. They would write a resume and create a LinkedIn profile. To a certain degree, they'd be able to read and understand the conversations that are taking place on the Bloomberg Channel or the Wall Street Journal. This is very vocabulary word intensive. The kids get really bombarded with vocabulary words because this is basically it's a language unto itself. They would do a sales competition where they would, compete and break into teams and compete to see who can sell a specific product more than the other team. And the lesson plan that's really a big hit with the kids is that they create a Super Bowl television commercial. They would act it out. They would understand the 3 different types of commercials. They'd be able to identify them when they watch them on TV. And that lesson plan is always a lot of fun for the kids. They really love that one. The deluxe is a full semester. Everything that's in the pilot program would be obviously in the deluxe, and they would write and perform a business plan in teams. They would conceptualize a prototype for a product. They would learn about engineering and reverse engineering. They would also interview successfully for the C-suite executive positions, meaning chief executive officer, chief marketing officer, chief information officer, and chief risk officer. Obviously, they would need to know what those jobs entail, so that would be a really great learning experience for them. And the business plan is really, intense as far as reading and writing. For schools, sometimes schools will, say, hey, we really want to, drill the kids on writing exercises. So in addition to writing a business plan, they'd write memos, they'd write emails, they'd write press releases. There's a lot that goes into that. But they would write a fully blown business plan, and it's a lot there. So that's a really great literacy writing exercise for schools or districts that want to take advantage of that. And then the year-long packages, basically creating the unicorn and the disruptor. Basically, they're creating a tech company. Everything that goes in between, involved with that, as far as the evaluations on the investment banking side, the engineering, the research and development, and the market sales and marketing and everything. I mean, soup to nuts. They're really creating a tech company. Some of them may even come up with something that they can actually sell and get patented, get provisional patents. So those are the 3 pricing structures, and hopefully, one of them is appealing to you. As per all 3 packages, students receive the Formula softcover book, the electronic book, and the audio book. And the reasoning behind that is that for students that are maybe struggling with their reading comprehension, giving them the ebook to look at and then having the audio book to listen to will hopefully allow them to read along with me, so that they can learn the different words and they don't have to struggle with them. I kind of read the book. I essentially read the book to them while they watch it along with me. The soft cover books are really for their parents, because we want what usually happens is the parents take the book and then they read through it, and that makes the school and the parents partners, because now the parents understand exactly what the students are learning and what they need to do to be successful in the class and to hopefully make a money machine. And then as far as the teacher support is concerned, all the different packages, the teachers have unlimited training and support. That happens in the classroom, where I come into the classroom, myself or my staff will be in the classroom with the teacher in a co-teaching model, and that really helps the kids grow their confidence, because they like to see me in the class. I have a certain cultural currency with them, and when my experience, what I believe registers in their mind is that this guy came to see us personally, and we are important. They really feel that it's important for them to know that. I took the trip to come and see them personally, because I noticed that they react a lot more to that than just doing it over the Zoom call. So it's a mixture of both. And then we also gives the teachers narrated digital lesson plans, which are just me, again, my voice in the background, walking the teachers and the students through the lessons with graphics and explaining it and triggers and animations, so that it's hopefully as visually entertaining as possible. So the teachers can learn it along with the students as they move through the curriculum, and the teachers and the students kind of learn it at the same time with a lot less heavy lifting by the teacher. And again, that is standard with all of the 3 packages. Yeah, so I believe we have to do this, in summary, because there are influences out there that have a lot, more volume in the media that are teaching the kids bad things, like this guy, pointing kids away from academics when his parents had PhDs, and these people, these CEOs working with these rappers and athletes and whoever else, are going to program our children into at-risk behavior using the very thing we're trying to get them to learn how to make, which are disruptive innovations, on their cell phones. And these rappers are going to teach them how to go to jail. That's what they're going to do. So if we have to take some of the shine off of rap music. We have to kill it just a little bit. I love it. The only thing it gets me prepared to do is fight. And it's got, I'm not saying that we have to kill, but rap music we've got to take some of the shine off of rap music. Our kids cannot continue to think that rap music is real life. Until we take some of the shine off of rap music, what it is today, and shut it down a little bit, we're never going to get control of our kids. Rap music is programming our kids to go to jail, straight up. So I hope you like this, and I look forward to talking to you at length about implementation. Take care.